Hey guys, welcome. We have 10 people here already.
No way.
Yeah, welcome live viewers. Sorry we're 10 minutes late. Also welcome anybody that might watch this on the replay, which I'm sure many will. Today's is a very special day for Allegiance Arts, for Nick and myself, and for our whole crew. We have a very special guest in Christian Rosado. Christian, this is quite an honor for us. We were sort of gushing over Christian in the back room, but he's a guy you're going to want to get to know. If you haven't seen his work already, I'm sure most of the people here have. He's our illustrator for Allegiance Arts' The Saints comic book project series, I suppose. Christian is a Peruvian illustrator who has an extensive advertising or background in advertising and has studied graphic design. English is not his first language, and Spanish is an enigma to me, but Nick is pretty good. So I'm just forewarning everybody that we're, all going to work through some, slow on the translation a little bit, me especially. So, but Christian, welcome to our show. Welcome to this audience, which is a lot of Nick. What would you say?
I would say we have a really great fan base, very dedicated and very knowledgeable.
Very much so.
The last live stream we did, I think it was last Tuesday, we had some of the most amazing comments from people who not only they're passionate, but they're learned, they're intelligent, they have a vitality to what they are a great group of fans. So you are going to be very pleased with the level of conversation surrounding this book because the fans are awesome. I mean, not enough can be said about how awesome they are.
So, Christian, can you give our audience a little background on how you came to work in comic books, a little background on your history in advertising, and how you got into comic book artwork?
Yes, of course. Yes, I thank you, Mish. Thank you, Nick, for the opportunity to be part of the Alliance family. It's a pleasure to me. It's an honor to be part of this great project, the Saints. I'm sorry for my English; it's very bad. But
you're doing great. You're doing really well.
But I try to do the best I can. Well, about your question, is I always like comics, but especially art. I am graphic designer, but even been traveling for long as I can remember. I used to draw comics from time to time, self-published comics with a group of friends, because in my country the comic is not it's not exist like not
Not as popular. No popular.
Not a big industry.
Not industry comics here.
Yeah, of course.
Well, in pandemic rate, my agent Luis contacted me for first time in Facebook. He sent me for representate me. This is
Yeah.
Yeah, representation.
yeah.
Mhm.
It's really it's okay for me, and because the job is fantastic. I always want to be a comic artist, and well, in is the past 2 months, and Luis sent me a messenger. We got a job with heavy metal magazine and elegance arts, and this is fantastic. I know I do not know the 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 industry, the elegance, ni heavy metal, yes, but elegance, I know. No, uh, well, my English
Y-
is
You,
bad,
Yeah.
but
No, this is
if
all
I
been very
may,
clear.
yeah, you said you self-published. Was it in print
Yeah.
or online?
in print,
Really?
Wow.
yes, with
Yes.
own money,
Yeah.
uh, with a group of friends, make characters, histories. I can.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If you
man,
have
show
some,
and
I would
tell.
love to see. Yes,
Show that
please.
stuff.
Let me stop sharing screen here.
Okay. Yes, I can. This is
Oh, sweet. Okay.
Oh, very nice.
this
Damn it.
is the Archangel. This is the character I drawing for this.
Oh, super awesome.
Yeah,
And so this is only available in
this.
Peru, right?
Yes,
This is a
yes,
small printing.
yes, because it's self-publishing. These other numbers here.
Oh, nice.
Wow, Christian, these are great. Yeah.
This is is
I've seen that cover
Oh,
before.
Archangel.
Yeah, that's great, man.
thank you, thank you. This is
Nice.
Awesome.
the last number this is and the job inside is
Oh, very nice.
Very beautiful.
yeah.
And how long ago was this?
Yes.
um 3 years, 14 years, 4 years.
4 years ago.
Wow.
See,
So
four
right
years.
before the pandemic, and not long before we got in touch with you through Louise, your agent, who Elizabeth, I remember, if you don't mind me telling the story, we wanted to greenlight this project, The Saints, and really had nobody in mind for it necessarily. Like we had, and then my wife gets an email from Louise, who is Christian's agent. And Louise had been knocking on our door a few times during these few months while we got Allegiance Arts up and running and off the ground. And nothing had really quite hit. And then he mentioned there was a new artist that he represented, and he showed us your work. And my wife, Elizabeth, said, you have to look at this, and there's a real talent here. And she's the one really who is behind getting you on board on the Saints. That may be a story that not even Nick knows.
Yes,
Not
thank
100%.
There
And
she
she's
is in
got a
there.
discerning eye, dude. So
Yes, she has a woman.
she must have been grabbed.
And
yes.
Elizabeth doesn't take no guff when it comes to sloppy artwork. She's just not that. So what she saw must have been pretty special, because the only thing I know you from is the Saints.
it must have been samples from Christian's your self-published work that we saw,
Or heavy metal.
or heavy metal.
Could have been the heavy metal work.
I cannot remember, but regardless, we were really impressed, and we're so happy that it worked out for the Saints project. and then we got you on board. You really made, you helped us make this world and make it really visually unique. And that actually brings us to our next question. We had pre-sent Christian some questions, everybody. So how do I find those?
For the Saints, here,
Yeah.
I'll take this one.
You got it?
In the Saints, and many people have commented on this, your work has a very cinematic, high style to it, very high chiaroscuro. And today, I was telling, because we were on a podcast, and it was difficult to describe because it was an audio only radio. It wasn't a visual.
Yes, of course.
And I said that if you wanted to, you could take Christian's artwork and treat it as a storyboard because the beats are all there, and you could shoot a film from that. And so what I'd love for you to do for our audience is to speak to the cinematic style. And I'm seeing some names here like Fernando Fernandez, Morato, Moros, Pepe Gonzalez, and folks like that. Also, Jean-Paul Leon, may he rest in peace.
Oh, yes. Yeah. What a
Judas
phenomenal
Priest.
talent.
What a generational talent.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, yeah, more specifically, like just how did you dream up this style for the Saints in general?
It's about of many influence. I inspiring in my style, my style, you know, like a many artists, artists Europeos, Europe artists, no? Like Luis Garcia Moros, like Pepe González, Maroto, Fernando Fernandez.
I'm going to put these names up in the
South American artists, Argentine, like José Luis Garcia, and yes, a lot of artists, and USA artists like John Paul Leon, and I blow my mind right now.
You also mentioned that you were inspired by the golden era of illustration, the 60s and 50s illustration artwork.
The golden age of the illustration advertising. This is a lot to learn about this age. Many artists, like I have many books from there for Leon Decker, Drew Struzan, Robert McGinnis, another man, a lot, Brian Hicks. Oh, many.
There you go. More show and tell. I love it.
Yeah, I'd love to see some of Christian's books. We have some 60s illustration books laying around here too. So it's
and the language is very cinematographic for in these years of the illustration. Is a light is. And this is my inspiration for a lot of I drawings. I try to be the best. Yes, I learn constantly. Every number, every page is a challenge. I'm very happy. I'm very happy to do that and to draw in comics at this point.
Well, I think you have a big career ahead of you in comic books. I think anybody that's seen your work in the Saints or anywhere else, your work on heavy metal, and I think you've done a couple other American projects since then. So, I think, your work translates so well to print. And speaking as, someone who's on the other side of this as a publisher and a writer and co-creator. You've been so professional to work with, and I think Nick would agree on that.
Thank you, Mitch.
It's no, and I'm not.
No,
I'm not
you have
joking.
no idea.
This is a high. I want to give you a very high compliment in front of the audience and for any potential viewers. Christian is a very. He makes your job very easy if you're a writer or a publisher or an editor. Your layouts arrive not very long after the script does. They come in when they say they are. If there are corrections in the layouts, you're just a dream to work with. You turn them around quickly, and then you move right into the artwork. And quite honestly, I'm glad you're here in the flesh, because you move through the inks and the art after your layouts so quickly that we were starting to worry that you were an AI robot. But
there
you're
has
not.
been talk.
There has been talk that you
don't
were
exist.
actually an AI project. But
Yeah.
you're not. You were a real
There's
person.
been accusations.
This is the digital world, and we live the digital art, and many many digital art and tools. We need to be a great work, and I try to aprovecharme, o sea, no sé cómo decirlo en inglés. I try to a ver, I want to, excuse me for that.
No, it's okay.
No, it's all right.
The Wacom, the digital tools, make easy the process to drawing comics. The process traditional is many steps.
Yes.
Like a rough, like a sketch, and inks, many steps. But the digital process is resume in two process, sketch and inks, like, because the inks in digital not it's like a pencil. It's ink. Don't you? It is for me very quickly to do that, and try to draw one sketch with detail, because I know when the editor see the page, he see clearly the characters, his expressions.
Yeah, the drama in the face.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yes, the environment, and I think this helped a lot.
You may have answered a couple of questions. We all wondered whether you work on paper or work digitally.
Yes.
Just digital.
I knew it. Yeah, we kind of figured that. And
So
another thing,
all of it is digital.
Yeah.
All is digital.
Right. And another thing, even in the layouts, what Mitch and I were really impressed with is the drama in the faces and the attitude of the characters. It's the way you interpret it was just so spot on. I mean, obviously we write like, guy walks in bar, angry. I mean, that's something, but you managed to have, I don't know, this like very organic way of expressing these characters that, again, not only does it make it easiest, but we get to enjoy it as a viewer. I'll be honest, it's hard to not get caught up in that and just lose track. It's like, wow, this is great. And then you're like, oh yeah, I got to put on we got to make sure everything tracks because we're so enthralled by what we're seeing. that, at least speaking for me, sometimes we forget that we're actually supposed to give notes.
Yes, it for me it's like a movie. It's
Yeah.
like drawing a movie.
Yes.
Because I drawing shooting board for movies many years, and when I drawing the panels of the page of the comic, I feel like this panel is will be filmed.
Mm-hmm.
And I see you in this way. When I draw in the panel of the comics, I think many in movies and cinema. In many movies I see, and
Yeah.
I think I got a camera with me, and try to put the angle of the shoot
Hmm.
in the right side. I don't
Yeah.
say, but
No, that's good you say that, because today when we were on the podcast, we were saying that when Mitch and I took over writing for the Saints, one of the things I had said is, listen, I think if we think about this in terms of creating it for a film franchise or a Netflix series or something like that, the script should read like cinema, like a film script. Well, I've written film scripts. I've made films and television. So that's how they read now. That's why you see the format so different. And, and there's not camera angles because, other than the obvious ones like, angle on Rachel, angle on LaPointe,
yeah,
close on this, the minimal information so that you can interpret it the way you want to, because it should read, at least in my opinion, it should flow like a film. And I
yeah,
think because we live in a very visual age right now where everything is digital, people are used to moving images. I think the more you adapt to that, it's more accessible for the audience in a good way. We're not dumbing it down, we're trying to elevate it so that people can follow. And what you do makes it, again, uh, we're both very, very pleased.
yes. Thank you, Nick. Very much.
I'm just trying to show off some of Christian's work here. I don't want to give too much away, but as you can see, he can draw a heck of a fight scene. This page we absolutely loved. And I wanted to ask you, Christian, while I'm showing some stuff, did you have a particular scene that was a lot of fun or particularly memorable for you to work on, or from the book itself? And maybe I
Yeah,
can show a page from that.
yes, it's a lot of page. I really like it to draw. I really enjoyed it. Drawing a lot of page of the signs of and particular in Kathmandu in scenes, fighting
Oh,
scenes
the
like that.
Kathmandu, yeah.
Yes, it's one of my favorites.
So this
And
this is from that sequence that you're talking about, which
yeah,
we were really blown away with.
this is the sequence I like to draw. And
Let me find another one.
in, in the sequence of Tokyo, and the fights, the sequence of with the cars in Tokyo is, for me, I enjoy to do that.
Oh, that I know what you're talking about. I'll have to go back and grab this real
Sorry,
quick.
sorry.
I'm going
A
to
lot.
show.
It's a
We're
lot.
gonna give it away, huh?
Well, I'm just going to show one page. I think
I loved writing this.
Well,
we're
This
not going to
was
give
so
it
much
all
fun.
away, but I want to show people what Christian can do with a heck of a storyline.
Actually, if we show both pages, it won't give any. I mean, you got to show them the goods a little bit.
yes, this is.
Here's one page right here that I love.
I
And
like.
then
This is a great. I enjoy to draw these pages.
Yes, this was so much fun when we got them back. So when we got these pages back, we were just like, okay, Christian just took this stuff to the next level. And Christian, just so you know, Nick and I had so much fun writing this, and we had no idea that you were going to deliver like you did. And it, as we, as Nick and I worked and worked and worked on this project, and we really fell in love with these scenes on paper, right? These and what we got back from you is that the scenes that we really loved, it seems like they resonated with you, and we got back just amazing pages. As if somehow the more we put ourselves into the work, the more you put yourself into the work, and then the artwork we got back was so in sync, and in fact elevated from what we even imagined would already be a great page. So just for the reader out there, or for the listener, what I'm trying to say is there were moments when creating in this process with Christian where he elevated work that Nick and I were already so super proud of, and it seemed like the better material that we gave him, the better material that he gave us. And as an artist and as a creator, this is and Nick, you have a lot of experience working in film and TV. This is a rare thing that happens where everybody really clicks into place. Am I wrong, or am I right?
I couldn't have said it better. I think they're called happy surprises. Sometimes a surprise is not so nice or not so happy. And this was awesome.
Yes, I know the Nick the Nick want in this page. Nick, you sent me to me a reference. you what you want, and really I like the vision what you have, what you for me this is more easy my job to when send me that reference, um, and I see what you need in this page, and in color, in environment. This has helped me a lot, in particular for documentation for these pages.
Yeah, I think it was important for this to have a very specific. Go ahead.
Nick was very fastidious. For those that don't know, I want to add to what Christian is saying. Nick, you would sometimes write really detailed descriptions, and as a comic book artist, sometimes you get that, and sometimes you get very light descriptions. And we were going for something very specific in this book, and you had some really specific flavors around the settings, and they. And then Christian really drew from that, and that was a really fun part of this whole process.
Yes, for this kind of history, with a lot of places, a lot of countries, the 50% of the job is documentation.
Yeah.
With the avenues, streets, people, traditional people. This is make real the pages, and the documentation help me with a realistic style. I want to draw. I need to draw. Yes, help me a lot.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Victor asks in the work how much is from imagination and from reference. I hope we answered that.
I think so.
For Mitch and I, the city and where the action takes place is as much of a character as the character themselves. And the reason Tokyo was important is because Tokyo has a very specific look. And if you don't get it right, it won't draw the audience in. And we feel that way about every We feel that way about Lima, about Kathmandu, about Tokyo, Brazil, wherever the story takes place. And sometimes you have leeway to use your imagination, Victor, and sometimes you have to do reference because in the world building, verisimilitude, especially with the saints, is crucial.
Yeah.
Otherwise, your audience will go, well, that's not right. That's not right. I've been to Tokyo. It doesn't look like that.
Yes.
And honestly, they're going to call you out on your scam because it's to me lazy. And we try to make sure that the settings are real, even though the action is outrageous.
And I think Victor may be asking, referring a little bit more, I could be wrong, to Christian's artwork as to how much you're drawing from reference versus how much you're compiling. And having worked digitally myself and used some compositing and some drawing, I know for me, it's quite a bit of mix. It's sometimes you can find something that helps you very quickly and use it and utilize it. And other times you really have to work to model your own drawing into a space. And I don't know if, Christian, that's a similar approach that you have, or how would you address Victor's question here?
Yes, a lot of my work is reference for documentation for and reference for the environment, the objects, the weapon,
Mm-hmm. So
the suites, the places. Is important. This is documentation for me. It helped me a lot. And for another part of the job, the drawing, the pages, the character. That is, I try to draw. It's more my imagination, like drawing the faces and la postura, the character, but all these parts is make the more solid the
one thing.
I help me a lot drawing with little toys and difficult positions.
I use little things like that too. Yes, I have those. Yeah, they're very helpful.
There you go.
They fall apart.
A lot.
Yeah. But they help a lot, especially just to I'm always kind of holding one up and looking and drawing and then just trying to get it into place.
Yes, because you need to be fast and certain. You need to be, what to say, the timing's gold. And when I draw and and exist, these tools help us in we jobs, because why not using them?
Why not use them? In fact, maybe that's the headliner for the episode. I think you have the tools, why not use them? And I think, Christian, your work is proof positive of someone who uses their tools.
Why not use them?
Very wisely, very efficiently. And I hope a lot of young artists and up and coming professionals will watch this interview and glean that from this. You have a lot of things available at our disposal, and I know it can get overwhelming. But Christian is you check out his work for sure and learn how he uses these tools. And I know you're compiling a lot of reference, but it would be impossible for you to illustrate emotively like you do. Like the characters emote, and when we mentioned this a little earlier, the characters emote like real people at the right moments in the script. So when you really need that to pull that emotion out of the character, you're able to do it. And that requires, you're not able to take photo reference for every one of those shots, right? You're not going out and doing that. You've built a visual model of the characters in your mind, and you're able to express them in all their varied emotions and make them feel like real actors or real characters that are on the page. Anyway, I just don't know exactly where I was going with that. I'm just really tipping my hat to you more than anything, because it's very impressive. And I know that as an artist, I have learned a lot from watching you work.
Yeah.
I think this is because I'm drawing a lot of storyboards and all those shooting boards. I drawing in the site, and I saw with the director and I finished the work in this day with the director in with me. And this is formed, how I say this, uh, well, yes, drawing storyboards make me more easy draw to draw this situation for the comics.
Yeah.
So,
well, and that's obvious. That's obvious, and that's one of the things we talked about today on the podcast. I'll just say it again: is that your work, you could take your boards, your panels, remove the dialogue, and shoot it like a film. It's that cinematic. This is the guy I was hoping, and I'm glad I was going to ask if we can pull this guy up.
Yeah, no, this is a great observation. Comics and film are different languages. However, both mediums approach time and space differently, very much so. And I know that Nick, you probably had the most direct and sharp learning curve coming from a very, very extensive film background into comic books. And I know you can speak to that maybe a little more even than I can.
We said it earlier. So like I turned in one of my first scripts and I'm feeling pretty good about it. Not like brilliant, because there is a learning curve. And so like in the script, I'll have like Pete walks across the room, picks up a glass, drinks it, slaps his roommate. And Mitch is like, well, that's good. But those panels don't move, right? There has to be beats. And I'm like, oh yeah. So I had to realize, oh yeah, you have to give them information in bytes and beats. That's why we have inserts and stuff and things that, frankly, I had to learn. In a film, Pete can walk across the room in one shot and slap his roommate, but in a comic book, that could be 4 beats.
Yes.
Yeah. So you're able to, you're limited in some ways, but then you have a whole nother set of tools to work with that can elevate a comic book project, or makes it a very different but similar art form in many ways. Christian, did you have something to say about that?
Yes, well, and the time in comic is I don't know the word, but the time is important.
Yeah, important
Because when it's just work people and doing things, make a lot of panels and to drawing and rest for the history for the history. Oh me, I don't know how to say that. but yes, we learn forever and in these jobs, and the scripts, the illustrators, we learn every time we job in a comic book.
Mm-hmm.
the, the the movies and the comics, they are cousins, no? And in certain point, we I don't know how to say this word.
It's okay.
Comparten, we comparten the visual concepts of 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 the history. I don't know how to say contar. I tried to Google for this.
That's it's quite all
That's all
right.
right,
No,
man.
I think you've been doing a really, really good job as someone who is not a native English speaker. So
Thank-
we're quite happy with with how you've done in this interview. It's been very good.
this is my first time I talk English with someone.
That's
Ever?
Yes, this is my first time.
Wow.
For I try to.
We have no excuses. You know that, right?
no. I mean, I think the entire audience is getting a sense that Christian is pretty much a brilliant guy in many different ways, right? I mean, this is your first English language conversation, and you're doing it live on YouTube in front of, a nice but public American audience here. They're being very patient and asking some really great questions. But
Yes,
We've been wanting to meet with Luis, your agent, on Zoom, and he keeps saying, no, my English is so bad. We're like, we don't care. We just want to meet you. He's like, no. And I'm wondering, and then it's like, is maybe Luis is Christian? Maybe they're the same
Luis
guy.
is the AI.
And because now we're like, well, he doesn't want to meet us. At least if he just had a sign, I can't speak English, something to give us. No, he didn't want to meet us.
it's a
This
great.
page, this page I love. Just
Yeah.
to take a little bit of a segue.
It's a pure reference. I find to a location with. I in my mind I see the police the office, a lot of papers, a lot of words, computers, all with no sé cómo decir desorden, with messy, no? And I in Google I search someone we got me or we we need it. I find it. I try to keep a lot of this reference, but I drawing of the editor and the girl
Yeah.
and
Let's
this
see, pull
voice.
down.
But this is all reference, and
Yes.
and the
Nice.
the character and this in these panels, yes, is more imagination.
Yeah.
Well,
And,
actually,
and the girl, yes. I try to draw one character like John Paul Leon looks.
Yeah.
I try to do that.
That's really cool. He reminds me also a little bit of like a chubby Stan Lee.
yeah.
And, like which is funny because as we were going through and writing this character in the script, I was thinking, well, he's this I don't want to spoil too much, but this guy is the editor of a conspiracy publishing book company, right? And so Christian it's a little low rent. It's not your it's not an international mega corporation publishing enterprise, right? He's running a mom and pop conspiracy book press, and
Like a
so
chop
Christian,
shop.
yeah, it is literally kind of a chop shop of books. This is where some of the bottom feeders wash up, right?
Yeah.
And so Christian has created this. He took that what's in the script from the description in the script and created this hustle bustle of an office where everybody is packed in, tight, like lab rats all working away on their hustles. And he's created this character, which in my head always looked, before you ever drew it, I imagined a chubby Stan Lee type guy. And that's what we ended up with the glasses and the hair and the graying temples and the
I imagine
attitude even that Stan had,
someone so different. So like when we got this back, it stirred in us our imagination where we created a whole we've created a whole scene and a whole life where he's actually part of the action now. He's drawn into this web. And I'm not giving away too much.
No, definitely.
The more he becomes involved with Rachel's book, the more danger he becomes. So instead of having like one scene, he's got several scenes in episodes 5 and 6. He's got a whole life. And you know this from drawing 5. And it's because of what we saw. It's not that we had planned it. It's we started to, and by the way, his name is Collins. We call him Collins. And I called him Steve originally because I couldn't think of anything else. And Eileen, our marketing maven, said, "Oh, God, please, anything but Steve, Nick." And I went, "Okay, fine, Collins." And she goes, "Okay, that works." I mean, I just made it up. There was nothing planned. Neither one of us planned this.
No, we just did this. This scene inspired this character to have a much larger role, and the way that, and then this is Rachel Brewer. So if you've read episodes 1 and 2 or volume 1, you're familiar with Rachel's story and how intertwined it is with Jean-Marc Lapointe's narrative, because she's there in the opening and the setup where it all goes sideways for Jean-Marc, and that sends her life on quite a bit of a tailspin, and that's part of. She really takes a pretty large role in episodes 3 and 4 as her life unwinds. I'm just going to kind of give you guys a sense of what happens in the book. So,
and 5 and 6.
And 5 and 6. So the way we imagine this book is as you watch as Lapointe falls through the rabbit hole. I mean, it definitely opens for him in volume 1, and in volume 2, he's tumbling pretty hard and fast into it. But, as he's entering this layer of this world, then you're introduced through this grand conspiracy through the eyes of Rachel Brewer, as it then starts to change her world, right? She's this, bookish university professor, but who's, might have a bit of a thing for these roguish truth hunters like Jean-Marc Lapointe, right? That gets her into trouble every single time. And so her life is gone out of control. And here she ends up with Collins in his office, which is the conspiracy press. And of course, he has an interest in what Lapointe's life and his discoveries. And from here, Rachel's desperation, where she meets this character, sends both of these characters on their own quest or their own trip down the rabbit hole in the upcoming issues. So I think of this book a lot like a pool. You just hit them and one is bouncing off the other, and it creates a chain reaction amongst every character that's been intertwined with Jean-Marc's life. It's been fun to do for sure.
Yeah, but the attitude of Collins, when I sat down after we talked about 5, because the way we work is we'll talk about it and then I'll go away and then come back and we, massage it and do whatever. And we rewrite. But for some reason, Collins came into it. And honestly, Christian, it was born from what you did.
Yeah.
We can honestly say when we talked about it, I don't think we brought Collins up until I showed you the first draft, because I just threw it in there as a what the hell. And he has evolved because, frankly, of what you did. I don't think we ever really discussed him.
No, there was no discussion
past
with Collins. This was his scene, and then from there we sat down with the next episode, and we're like, I think Nick was a big advocate. He's like, we got to. Collins is a character. Like there's movement here. He's been given information, right, in this scene that makes him special, right? He is now the carrier, the passenger of this knowledge that's ended up on his desk, and he didn't necessarily ask for it or want it. But then Nick took that character in some really cool directions. So you guys are going to want to get volume 2.
Definitely.
You're going to want to continue the adventures of Jean-Marc, find out what happens to him. But then you're going to want to find out what happens to Rachel, because it's so much fun. And I'm going to tease another page in a second. And
Asuka.
And then Asuka and Okami, which is his daughter. So you're going to want to find out what happens to Asuka. She comes back in episode 5 and 6 in a really major way, and we're very excited about that. And then you're going to want to meet Collins, who is this character that's just, as you've seen, inspired by Christian's artwork, and we couldn't get we had to sink our teeth into it a little bit more. I'm going to show a page, guys. And Victor has a very nice comment.
He became a character we really, I don't know if we identified with it so much as we just sort of, he became dear to us. And he has a backstory, and
it's Rachel. I think as we pointed out really quickly as we sat down to do this, we realized Rachel needed a lifeline.
Yeah.
Right. She can't call on Jean-Marc Lapointe anymore. Like that ship has sailed by the end of, the episode 2. So she needed a lifeline, and having that character in her life gave you a reason to it gave her a reason not to just give up on it, because she's in a pretty bad situation. But it allowed the reader to see this world through another lens, which is really important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And here, speaking of Rachel and in a lot of trouble, this page, Christian, I just loved. I think you did a fantastic job.
Mm-hmm.
It has so much energy and movement and just gripping staging. It feels like, I love the rear view mirror shot, which I think was in the script. I
don't remember. A lot of this was taken from Mike Barron whole cloth, but I don't remember the rear view mirror. We changed like one or two things and some dialogue, and that's it.
There's a lot of talented people who have their hands on this work, so it's like you kind of forget where ideas come and go from.
But the actual thing that Mitch is teasing is we pretty much took whole cloth of what Mike Barron had.
Yeah, it was
brilliant. It's perfect. It's perfect.
It is.
All the I's are dotted, all the T's are crossed, the beats are there.
Yes. Maybe the panels of this page is reference to, and I need to draw when I figure it how to draw this page. I think in the night,
mm-hmm.
and this sensation of be sorry for that.
Okay, take your time.
Pursue it, no? Pursue it for a unknown character, for and that's the suspense.
Mm-hmm. Definitely suspense driven here.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. And we can't tease anymore because we can't show you.
It'll give it away, and it's a bummer because it's pretty awesome.
It is really cool. Yeah, this is one of the things we cannot show.
Can we take a look at Victor Farrow's last question?
Yes.
The latest one he posted.
Right here. These are fantastic. These pages are fantastic. So many comics today ignore the role of environment in the storytelling and just give us talking heads. Yeah, that's right. That's always very frustrating. Kudos to the entire team. Thank you, Victor. I really appreciate your participation here.
We were talking about that earlier, and thank you, Keith. Beautiful work.
Thank you, Keith.
I'm sure Mitch had said that in the beginning when we were talking about the Saints, I think from episode 2 on, that whatever country we're in, wherever we are, it has to be as much of a character as the characters. I know I said that earlier. And I'm pretty sure he mentioned that, or we just started to talk about it. And I'm agreeing with you on the whole talking heads thing. I've read a lot. We get a lot of submissions. And to be honest with you, we're not supposed to take submissions and finish work, but some people want to show their work, not try and pitch us stuff. And so many times we'll get linked to a portfolio, and it's either overly done work in a the superhero DC style, or it's a lot of talking heads. And you see the medium shot, or sometimes you'll see a bust from up, or you'll see what they call the cowboy shot, and it's just there's nothing there. I know it sounds like I'm trashing people. I'm not trying to, but there's a style that has become adopted where it's not inclusive of the environment. It's just, well, it's like what you see here, 3 guys talking.
Yes.
3 guys talking. Yes.
It's important the environment for tips in the history. We need to.
There you go.
Speaking of environment,
this is a great one.
This is one which, I mean, this was another scene that was really fun to craft. And then when we got it back, it was just more than we could have ever asked for. Wouldn't you say, Nick? I mean, it's one of the ones where you ask for a market, a Brazilian market, and there's a lot of detail here. And Christian does it in such a, I'm totally convinced. I'm there. I'm in this scene. If you look at panel 2, right, the level of depth in such a small drawing is kind of astounding. We have a foreground. We have the all the fruits and vegetables laid out, and we have our 2 characters interacting. And then in the background is this very busy marketplace, but it's drawn with very simple lines, very simple color, kind of washed out. So I'm convinced of all the hustle and bustle of a busy market with a few very simple lines, which is quite a feat, in my opinion, and simple color.
Yeah. So I noticed a couple of people popped in. Jim O'Reilly, hello, Jim. Thanks for stopping by. And H is for heretic. That's crazy.
It is crazy.
I'm telling you, even scenes that are what people would consider a throwaway scene, which we don't write, has a lot of vitality to it. I mean, there is always something going on in the frame. It's packed. So I guess it's time to plug the book. Listen, I noticed we got a bump in sales, but guys, spread the word. If you haven't back the campaign. You won't regret it. And if if you know someone who would love this kind of stuff, go for it, man. There's no shame. We got no shame.
Yeah, for sure. There's just going to be a number of people that watch this. If you haven't visited our Indiegogo page, please do. We've been talking about Christian's work, showing some of it. There's quite a bit more on display on the Indiegogo. And we're talking about a total offering of 90, if you get volume 1 and volume 2, a total offering of 96 story pages. Christian has drawn and colored every single one of those, as well as some cover work for these and some really beautiful design work and concept work that he did on the front end of this. So it's a really amazing project. I would say you're well worth it just for the art alone. I think you're getting in at the ground floor of an artist here that's going to have a major international career in illustration, straight out of Peru onto the international scene for sure. So it's worth it for the art alone. And this is something we mentioned on the podcast we were on earlier. For the art alone, it's worth the price. You're getting 96 pages of this available on this campaign if you get both volumes. And the story is just the icing on the cake for this.
Speaking of art alone, I want to throw a little shout out to Butch Geis and Mitch who did the cover. If you could show them the cover off the campaign.
Yeah, let me do that.
You've been neglectful of showing off this amazing cover.
I have.
Normally, one's not supposed to judge a book by its cover. This is the exception. Butch did an amazing job. It's gorgeous, and Mitch colored it and did an amazing job with the colors. Let's see. Can we get there? It is.
There it's showing up.
Amazing color.
Yeah. So yeah, we commissioned. We greenlit this project. I can't remember when. It's been some many months now when we decided, hey, let's jump back on the Saints and make this happen. And then we commissioned Butch. I think before we ever finished the script, and sent it to Christian. It's like, well, we just have Butch do a cover, and Butch does an amazing. Butch has like Christian. Butch has a very cinematic style. He draws a lot from references. So we wanted to see what kind of lens Butch would lend to this world, and we got this amazing ink drawing back from Butch. And I had been coloring Butch on the covers for the Futurist book, which we're going to run as a crowdfunding campaign later this year. And Butch and I, over that time, had developed a nice communication, a nice visual communication, where I was doing some almost more painterly, Drew Struzman inspired kind of work, 80s movie poster style work with him on those Futurist covers. And then I got these inks in that had this collage effect. And so we went full bore, like late 80s, early 90s action film, but added this sort of really fun, vibrant, almost rainbow-like color palette to the whole thing. It was a lot of fun to work on, and it was time consuming, but the result was, we were all very, very happy with it.
For reasons I can't explain, the hexagon texture just, I don't know why I find that the most intriguing part.
I was inspired by Christian, believe it or not.
No way.
So, well, I mean, yes, because Christian was originally brought in that hexagon motif in his early concept drawings. And I can actually show some of those up here. Let me do that real quick so people can see where I drew my inspiration from.
Yes, this is the concept art we made.
Right here.
Yeah, for the suits.
Yes.
Right there. I've got it on the screen. Yeah, so that's some of Christian's early concept art. We asked him to draw that before he ever started on the pages, so we could get a sense. We could all get a sense of like, how's he going to approach this book? You know, let him, you know, feel out the world a little bit before he dove in. And we got a few of these back from Christian. That was one. This was another one, which wasn't really. It was inspired by a moment in the story, but we'd asked Christian just for his take on it. And so here he drew. This is, I think, one of the first drawings of Jean-Marc Lapointe and Rachel Brewer. And then this one as well was an early concept.
Love this one.
Piece. This is Asuka. And I believe an early rendition of Okami here in the corner.
Yeah, that's her pops. And then that's Lapointe in the middle.
And Lapointe in the middle, yes. And this is all work here from episode 3 and 4, or we call volume 2. This scene I love. We can't show this one too much, but they're definitely pouring gasoline and something's about to go down.
Can't show, yeah, I can't fill you in on that otherwise.
Yep. The villains, Christian, this is something else I think you had a lot of fun with, and so did we. You've done some really fun things with the villains in terms of using lots of texture and shapes and patterns. Let me get you on screen and see if you can speak to this. I noticed you've really, in these 2 episodes, and even in the next episode, even more so, and for the villains, you would use deliberately lots of shapes, hard lines, mechanical lines, and I don't know what you could really add to that other than, you know, verifying my observation.
Yes.
I noticed the eye line was below eye level sometimes, so that the shading would be sort of like this. You know what I mean? With with the with the what you call the camera, the lens. It has not all of it, but a lot of it has like the one on the right of that page you just showed. Mitch has
That
a
one.
lot of those type of angles where the villains look monstrous, even the ones in suits.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, many of this texture is because I discover new brooches. And when I discovered this brush, I need to draw with this brush because it's really great. It's
Mm.
great results and make the job, make the draw more traditionally traditional. I don't know how to see that. But this is because I discover new brushes.
Oh,
I practice.
will you share them with me?
No, of course, yeah. I love them.
Christian, another thing I would love, and maybe I should even ask this in the back room, but I know me personally, and I know my wife would as well. We would love to see um, the volumes of work that you did before you started for us, the things that you self-published. I don't know if you have that in PDF form, but personally, I would love to look at it and read it, and I'll have to do translations and stuff, but I would love to see more of the work that you self-published.
Yes, of
Is
course.
it available? Is it available online anywhere? The work that
No,
you self-published, like in digital format?
I got in digital format, but not in online. But
Okay.
I send to you. We transfer file with a page I drawing for my comics like Arcangel and self publishes. And say to you the brushes I got.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think we might have sent you some. We collect our brushes and share them with the
It's
people that come on board and work with us.
very
So
funny brushes because the result is very traditional, realistic, like
mhm.
drawing in paper.
And that's why we can hardly notice sometimes. I would have sworn some of the recent pages you turned in for episode 5 were actually drawn on paper. I'm just looking at them and they look so natural.
Yes,
So it
uh,
looks like you've gotten even more better at I was pretty well convinced you were mixing paper with digital, but you were not.
yes. I love to looks like a illustration or the 15, 16 age.
Hmm.
And on advertising with this texture and the inks, it's dry inks, and
Dry
I
inks, yeah.
I love it. I try
I
to.
love dry ink myself. I've been known to use it quite a bit, especially in my Marvel days. I was doing a lot of that dry ink work. Here, I wanted to highlight a page, Nick, because it's the exact opposite of the other scene we were just showing with the villains. So this is an introduction to some of the saints, our sort of team of clandestine heroes, right, that work with Jean Marc, and you're introducing a couple new characters here. So completely contrast to the hard edges and very flat red lighting of the villains, staging of the villains. You have this very soft garden-like plaza, or I guess what would you call this? Uh, Not plaza. Or
Well, actually, what this is a safe house, and this is a device Mitch came up with. The safe house we had in a script, but I kind of went for a traditional thing. I wasn't really feeling, to be honest with you, I wasn't sure what the hell I wanted. And Mitch said, "Well, listen, why don't we do something where they're moving about? Like, what if she's picking tomatoes? Like, why the hell she want to pick tomatoes? What, what
Well,
if
she's
what
going
if
to
they're
feed
making
people.
dinner?" And I went,
Yeah.
"Oh yeah." He goes, "In other words, treat them like regular people. They're having this very intense conversation in a safe house.
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell you what's going to happen next, but Some people are going to be brought to the safe house. And so think of it like they're just making dinner like normal people. And I went, that's freaking brilliant. And then the scene really, to be honest with you, I knew what I wanted to say, but getting the characters moving and giving them a task brought a vitality to the scene that didn't exist beforehand, to be honest. And so that's why it's picking tomatoes. It's a device Mitch came up with, to be honest. I didn't think of this.
Just to sell the fact that they're the heroes, right? They're not the villains. We don't have our characters in the Saints walking around in dramatic, the purple and green, I am the villain costume, and the red and the blue, I am the hero costume. They're very simple and very clearly delineated. We have really very real people that are walking in this world, and the heroes need to be defined from the villains, despite being dressed in kind of everyday wear. So Christian will bring in textures like this. Nick and I will try to stage scenes like, well, she's picking tomatoes from the garden as they have this conversation, and they go in and she's preparing food because they're the heroes. They nurture. The villains are cold, and they obviously aren't very nurturing. If you read this, you will definitely find that out.
Yeah. And the device also, it showed the difference between Madam X and Andrea. That's Andrea, who, I guess, for the lack of a better word, she leads the field team of the Saints. That much I can tell you.
There you go. And
we needed some action that separated her from Madam, who's clearly a diabolical and evil bitch, but Andrea is not.
You heard it here first, folks. Yeah.
So this device in the end, which I fought at first, I wouldn't say I fought. I didn't get it. Became a fun scene because we were able to weave in the action that follows, and it came across. It was a pleasure to write in the end, and it came out well, and it's beautifully illustrated, and it works. And now we've adopted that sort of I guess a warmth with the Saints, even though they're capable. They're not clownish people, but they're more human. Whereas the villains are, yes, they're human, but they have a coldness to them, as Mitch was saying earlier. Yeah. They're very methodical in their destruction, whereas the Saints have a tendency to be more visceral and reactionary. And, they command a situation once what hits the fan.
This is, I think, the last page I'm going to show, Nick, and Christian. Yeah. Just because it's probably time to wind it down so everybody can get onto bed. And we've had an awesome audience watching this. And Christian, you've done a really wonderful job in speaking to and elucidating our audience. And I think the takeaway is use your tools, and buy the book. Buy this book. Those are the two takeaways. Use your tools, buy this book, follow Christian Rosado, who's going to have a really awesome career in comic books.
Yeah.
We got one more. We got Benjamin Soto in here, who's always an awesome commenter. Great work. Christian's work reminds me a bit of David Aja's. Yeah, somewhere, but I could definitely see that. Like if David and Jean Paul had a baby, it would be Christian.
Yes.
Anyway,
wow.
Christian, we're so lucky to have you. We're so happy that you're a part of this project and that you've been so passionate about this project. We were very honored to hear that for episode 5 that you enjoyed drawing it so much. And again, it's been awesome for Nick and I, who have poured so much passion into this book, and others to get. It seems that you make our job very rewarding, because the more we pour into it, the more we're getting back from you. And so it's just been an awesome experience. And I appreciate our audience for giving you such a warm introduction for your first English language conversation live on YouTube. We're very impressed.
Yes.
You're very talented in many different ways. Nick, do you have anything to add to that?
No, this has been a blast. By the Saints. That's it.
By the
What
Saints.
else can I say? That you won't be sorry.
Christian, would you have any parting advice for young artists? Because I think young artists will come back and watch this broadcast a lot as your profile rises. So would you have any last advice for a young talent who wants to make it in this business like you have, and you are?
Yes, of course. Document yourself is important. Is make your job more easy, and more great and more beautiful job with documentation. And if you are a realistic job, you need that. You need documentation. You need this for yourself. For the finished job is quality. It's quality and also composition of the page is more important. Like a drawing, nice. No, a nice drawing is better than is the composition, because it's like a
100%.
I write this. It's like a house, no, like a house with a solid base. Is position, and on the beautiful drawing is like a marble. It's like like a door. It is, but if you don't a solid base, you don't have a solid base, the house is down. And it's drawing. It's like a drawing, a comic page.
I think that's a very, very beautiful and very clear analogy. So learn your fundamentals, collect reference, do your study, and take your inspiration from Christian Rosado, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Christian, for joining us this evening. It's been wonderful to have you on here, and we'll talk to you again real soon. I'm going to end the broadcast. Bye-bye, everybody.
Yeah, we can meet in the back room, as the young kids say.
Yeah, we'll chat in the back room.